Hello, thank you for tuning in to another HCLC video family devotion. This is Pastor Dan, and today we look at Psalm 3. Let's begin with the text. It says, O Lord, how many are my foes? Many are rising against me. Many are saying of my soul, there is no salvation for him in God. But you, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory and the lifter of my head. I cried aloud to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy hill. I lay down and slept. I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of many thousands of people who have set themselves against me all around. Arise, O Lord, save me, O my God, for you strike all my enemies on the cheek. You break the teeth of the wicked. Salvation belongs to the Lord. Your blessing be on your people. I wonder how many of you remember, or you had the experience as I did, of mom and dad saying a simple prayer before bedtime. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. And as I read Psalm 3, I hear echoes of that little prayer. Verse 5, I lay down and slept. I awoke again, for the Lord sustained me. Indeed, I lay my head down to sleep. And sleep is an interesting thing for a Christian. If God is serious about our lives being lives of prayer, sleep presents a problem. How can I pray while I'm sleeping? So, not that I'm against sleep. In fact, it's important and I love it. But honestly, it presents a conundrum for anyone who wants to take seriously the idea of living a life of prayer, to pray without ceasing. And yet, I owe my body a debt, and that is, it needs its sleep. So, sleeping is equated with kind of a dying. I mean, I'm surrendering, I'm yielding myself up to God's care every time I go to sleep. And then when I awake, it's a version of a resurrection. You know, I'm thankful that I woke up. And the only reason I woke up, the only reason I was unable to do anything to defend myself in my sleep, the only reason I awake is if God mercifully preserved me. Now, meanwhile, while I'm sleeping, the world is raging. And in fact, the raging doesn't quit just because I've woken up, nor does it quit because I go to sleep. In fact, the world is filled with raging trouble. And this psalm reminds us of that as well. In fact, Psalm 1 reminds us that we are all engaged in kind of a moral battle. Read Psalm 1, it's all about the path of the upright versus the path of the wicked. And so Psalm 1 is encouraging us to engage the battle of uprightness and to shun or shy away from the way of the wicked. And then Psalm 2 reminds us that the battle is not only a moral battle, but it's also a spiritual battle. And Psalm 2 reminds us that the Messiah himself is leading us in this battle. So the battle imagery of Christianity is important. And this psalm takes it up and says, not only are we engaged in this battle, but the numbers don't look good. We're fighting a battle that seems to be constantly a losing battle. That's what it seems like. And I mean, I'm just telling you, I'm sitting here today thinking that same kind of thing. As I look at how the world is, in this country anyway, actively opposing many biblical principles. Actively, so to give a for instance, a popular for instance, our country is redefining what it means to be married, redefining what marriage is itself. And I believe that the Bible speaks about how marriage is defined, what makes a marriage an actual marriage. And I believe that the Bible is pretty clear that what defines a marriage is a biological reality. And so efforts to define marriage that violate the biological realities that the Bible talks about certainly every government has the right to define it any way it wants, but I'm not obligated to agree with my government that its definition is a biblical definition. And in fact, in our case, it is not in this country. And so what I see is a battle. I see myself engaged in a battle. Now, those people who know me know that I'm not militant. I don't run around and force my views, what I believe are accurate biblical interpretations about marriage. I don't run around and force that on anyone. However, when the question comes up, I do feel I have every right, if not, I'm compelled to speak about the biblical truth. And even beyond that, in the course of ordinary conversation, it's going to come up once in a while. And yet, I know that when I talk about what I believe is a biblical view about marriage, and it's contrasted with what is the current civil view about what defines a marriage, I know I am regarded now as a bigot. And so when I read Psalm 3, and it says, how many are my foes, and many are rising against me, and many are saying of my soul, there is no salvation for him in God. When the argument against the biblical view of marriage is, no, God would allow this because the God of love, and God accepts everybody, and so what people are saying is, I'm out of touch with God, and our government is in touch with God. They're saying exactly what Psalm 3 warns me they'll say. And so I can remember that Psalm 3 encourages me, saying, even when I lay down and sleep, I don't need to be afraid of the many thousands of people who have set themselves against me all around, because God is the one engaged, in the battle. And finally, verse 8, salvation belongs to the Lord. Your blessings be on your people. It reminds me in verse 4 of Psalm 3 that when we cry out to God, God answers us from his holy hill. In other words, God will always speak, and always does and always has spoken from his perspective. And his perspective is it's like almost like it's given as a geographical location in this psalm, but we can understand it also as a theological location. And so at least we know that the holy hill of the Lord, we could say, is his word, the Bible. And so if I can study this question or that question or another question, and if I can come to peace that I've developed an answer that is biblically accurate or biblically correct, then Psalm 3 is comforting me as a way of saying I'm under God's protection. Well, I hope that you're able to think about this same psalm in terms of the struggles that you fight in this world, and insofar as you are engaging those struggles armed with a solid theology, a solid biblical opinion, then you have nothing to fear, because salvation actually belongs to the Lord, and he blesses. He is the one who imposes his blessing upon his people. Thanks for joining us for this video family devotion, and I hope you'll join us again next time.